Hello students, in this class we will try to derive what is known as the time independent Schrodinger wave equation, that is time independent Schrodinger wave equation. So we are going to derive the time independent Schrodinger wave equation. So before going for the derivation, let's try to understand first what is this time independent Schrodinger wave equation is all about, right? Let me tell you, the time independent Schrodinger wave equation is a mathematical expression of the de Broglie wave. I mean, it is the mathematical expression of the de Broglie wave. What is de Broglie wave? It is the wave associated with a moving particle. We know that as per de Broglie, whenever a particle which is having a small dimension like electron or proton or neutron, when it is in motion, it is always associated with a wave. That is, a particle in motion like electron or a proton or a neutron is always associated with a wave nature. So we have a wave nature for the moving particle. So this is confirmed by the de Broglie hypothesis, and we know the wavelength of this wave is also given by an equation lambda equals to h divided by p. Well, lambda gives you the wavelength of the de Broglie wave. And this concept of de Broglie, that is the material particles like electrons, protons, neutrons, when they are in motion, they are having the wave nature associated with them. So this de Broglie hypothesis is also confirmed by a Davison-Germer experiment. So now it is very clear that the moving particles like electrons, protons, neutrons have got the wave nature. So once you assign a wave nature for a particle, we have to represent these waves mathematically. So a time independent Schrodinger wave equation is the mathematical representation of the matter wave or the de Broglie wave. I will repeat, this time independent Schrodinger wave equation is the mathematical representation of the de Broglie wave. So what it means? So the time independent Schrodinger wave equation can be expressed as d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m divided by x square into e minus b psi equals to 0. So this is the mathematical expression of time independent Schrodinger wave equation. What it is? D square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by s square into e minus b psi equals to 0. So we call this as the time independent Schrodinger wave equation. Now let's try to understand what this equation is all about or what this equation means. So here we know this is a second order differential equation. A second order differential equation. So where what is psi? Psi is what is known as wave function. So this psi represents what is called wave function. So psi represents a wave function. So and we know that this psi is expressed in a complex form. Psi represents a wave function and it is taken in the form of a complex notation. Let's start to understand these terms. So what is a wave function? So what the wave function describes? Now wave function is basically the one which describes the status of the wave at any point of time. The wave function always describes the status of a wave at any point of time. Means what is the amplitude of the wave, what is the displacement of the wave, what is the position of the wave at a given interval of time. So that is what is known as status. So the status of a wave, that is a de Broglie wave, is described by what is known as a wave function, that is denoted by a Greek letter what is known as psi. So psi represents the wave function. So we can say psi gives you always the status of a de Broglie wave. What do you mean by status of a wave? That is, it tells us at any point of time what is the amplitude of the wave, what is the position of the wave, what is the displacement of the wave at any point of time. And I told you that psi is taken in the form of a complex notation. What do you mean by complex notation? When you say a complex notation, a complex term will always have a real term and an imaginary term. That is, a complex notation is always for psi equals to x plus I y. So this psi is a wave function which is taken in the form of a complex notation where it is of the form x plus I y, a complex equation, right? Where what is x? X is a real term and I represents the imaginary term. So a complex notation is having a real term as well as an imaginary term, and we call this as a wave function which describes the status of the wave. Then the question is, if psi is a wave function, if it describes the de Broglie wave at any given point of time, why we are representing this psi or the wave function in terms of a complex notation? Why can't we represent it in a simple term? Like, we have the equations of a wave, it is y equals to a sin omega t, or we have the equations y equals to a cos omega t. What are these equations? Y equals to a sin omega t. This is a mathematical representation of a sine wave. What is y equals to a cos omega t? This is the mathematical representation of a cos wave, right? So what is a? A represents the amplitude of the wave. What is omega? Omega is the angular frequency. That is omega equals to 2 pi nu. And what is t? T is the time interval. So y gives you the displacement of the wave. The displacement of the wave at any given interval of time, t, where a gives you the amplitude of the wave and omega gives you the angular frequency. Similarly, we have y equals to a cos omega t, where what is y? Y is the displacement in the y direction. What is a? A is the amplitude. What is omega? Omega is the angular frequency and t is the time interval. So it means I can represent this equation as the form of a cos wave. That is, this gives me a cos wave. So this wave is represented by this equation y equals to a cos omega t, right? So what is y? The displacement in the y direction. What is a? A is the amplitude of the wave, right? What is omega? Omega is the angular frequency. In the same way, this is given by an equation of the form. So this gives you a sine wave. This gives you a sine wave. This gives you a cos wave. So what is a? A is the amplitude of the wave. What is omega? Omega is the angular frequency given by 2 pi nu, and t is the time interval. And y gives you the displacement of this wave in the y direction. So we have the mathematical representation of sine wave like this. We have the mathematical representation of cos wave like this. In the same way, now we are representing the de Broglie wave, the so-called matter wave. What is that? The wave associated with a moving particle by a complex notation denoted by the symbol psi. And what is psi? Psi is what is a wave function. I told you psi represents the status of the wave. Just like a sine wave, just like a cos wave, this psi also gives us the status of the de Broglie wave at any given interval of time. Then the question is, we know that a complex equation involves the real term and the imaginary term. So it is complex in nature. So if the psi is complex in nature, which involves the real term and imaginary term, then the question is, why we are representing the time independent Schrodinger wave equation with a complex representation? Why can't a simple representation like y equals to a sin omega t, y equals to a cos omega t? The reason is that when you go for a complex representation of a wave, the mathematical terms, the mathematical steps which are involved in the derivation of the time independent Schrodinger equation, or when you go for the application of time independent Schrodinger equation, the mathematical steps or the mathematical representations of these equations becomes very simple or very easy. That is, the mathematical terms or the mathematical steps which are involved in the derivation of a time independent Schrodinger equation, or when you go apply it for different cases, the mathematical representations are going to be very easy when you go for a complex representation. That is why we are going for a complex representation of a de Broglie wave, even though it involves an imaginary term. But still, an equation like y equals to a sin omega t, an equation like y equals to a cos omega t, or the equation in terms of psi, they all represents the wave equation only. They all represent a wave equation only. Now how? For example, I can show it here. If you take this equation, y equals to a cos omega t. If you say y equals to a cos omega t, we know this is basically a cos wave, the representation of a cos wave in this form. So if you differentiate this equation twice, t square y by dt square, what we are going to get is we are going to get omega square y. Differentiate it once, dy by dt, what you get? A into minus sin omega t into omega, right? If you differentiate it again for the second time, it is d square y by dt square. What we get? We are going to get minus omega square into 1. So what is this? This is a second order differential equation which represents the motion of the cos wave, right? In the same way, now I can take the equation of a wave in this complex form. What is that? I can take it as psi equals to a e raised to minus I omega t, a e raised to minus I omega t. So now I say this represents the wave in complex form. In complex form. Now how? We have the standard Euler's equation. What is Euler's equation? That is, we know that we can represent the Euler's equation by saying that cos theta minus I sin theta equals to e raised to minus I theta, right? What is e raised to minus I theta? This is of the form of Euler's equation. What is Euler's equation? This e raised to minus I theta can be expressed as cos theta minus I sin theta. So this is taken as e raised to minus I theta, right? Now I can replace this theta by omega t. So if I replace this theta by omega t, it is going to be what? Cos omega t minus I sin omega t equals to e raised to minus I omega t. I am just replacing this theta by omega t, right? Then if you multiply this both sides by a, if you multiply both sides by a, what are we going to get? We get a cos omega t minus a into I sin omega t equals to a into e raised to minus I omega t. So if you multiply both sides by a, we get a cos omega t minus a into I sin omega t equals to a into e raised to minus I omega t. Now let's call this as y. Let's call this as y. So I say it as y equals to a e raised to minus I omega t. So I am taking this as y. So y equals to a e raised to minus I omega t. Right? Now if you differentiate this twice with respect to t, that is, we get d square y by dt square equal to be minus omega square y. How? If you differentiate this for the first time, dy by dt is going to be what? A into e raised to minus I omega t as it is into minus I omega. Then if you differentiate for the second time, it's going to be what? D square by dt square is going to be I square omega square into a raised to I omega t. Or in other words, I square is minus 1, it's going to be minus omega square y. So now if you look at this, let's call this as equation number 2. Let's call this as equation number 1. So we have got here d square y by dt square as what? Minus omega square y. What is this? This is the second order differential equation which represents the motion of the wave, which is basically a cos wave. Right? Then if you look at this equation, d square by dt square equals to minus omega square y. What is this? This is again the equation of a wave which is in terms of complex notation. So equation 1 and equation 2 both are same. So what it concludes? It concludes that this also represents the motion of a wave, which is basically a cos wave which is taken in the simple terms, like y equals to a cos omega t. where A is the amplitude, omega is the angular frequency, T is the time interval, Y is the displacement. When you take it in the form of a complex equation, that is, in the form of a complex equation which involves the real term and imaginary term, when you do simplification, when you take it as this as a Y, when you differentiate it twice, again what we get the same answer. We get the same answer. So from equation 1 and 2, we get the conclusion that this also represents the equation of a wave, just like this equation, So now it is clear that even though we take the equation psi, what is psi? Now this is nothing but psi. Instead of y, we can take it as psi. So if you replace this by y by psi, what the psi is going to be? Psi is going to be a wave function. What is y here? Y is also a wave function, which gives you the status of the wave at any given interval of time. Similarly, we have psi. What is psi? Psi gives you the status of the wave at any given interval of time. So, why we are taking it in a complex notation? The answer is that to represent the wave in terms of a complex notation, the mathematical terms which are involved in the further derivation or when applied for a real-time applications, they are going to be very simple. Therefore, we are representing the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation by using a complex representation that is taken in the form of a psi. Therefore, we have the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation of the form d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m divided by s square into e minus v psi equals to 0. What is psi? Psi is the wave function in the complex form. Right? So, this is the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation in one dimension. Because here we have taken d square psi by dx square. What this x indicates? The motion of the particle in the x direction only. So, this represents in the one dimension. The same equation can be represented in three dimensions. By taking it as d square psi by dx square plus d square psi by dy square plus d square psi by dz square plus 8 pi square m by s square e minus v psi equals to 0. That is going to be the time-independent Schrodinger wave equation in three dimensions, which covers what? The motion of the particle in the x direction, in the y direction, and in the z direction. All the three-dimensional motion. That becomes the Schrodinger equation in three dimensions. Right? Now we have to derive this. Equation. That is the time-independent Schrodinger equation in one dimension or in three dimensions. So that is the main job, the derivation of this equation. How we get this equation? That we have to derive. So before going for the derivation, let me tell you, basically there are two types of Schrodinger equation. One is time-dependent Schrodinger equation. The other one is time-independent Schrodinger equation. So what we are deriving here is time-independent Schrodinger equation. I told you there are two types. One is time-dependent, other one is time-independent. So what is time-dependent? What is time-independent? A time-dependent Schrodinger equation is one which takes care of both the position and the time interval of the wave motion. That is, I told you when a particle is in motion, it is associated with the wave, what is known as the de Broglie wave. If your equation represents the position and the time interval, both the time and the status of the wave, including both the position and the time. The wave equation representing both the status of the wave in terms of a position and the time. That equation we call it what is known as time-dependent Schrodinger equation. Whereas this is time-independent. What is time-independent? So this is a mathematical expression of the de Broglie wave which takes care of the wave only in terms of position. So it does not describe the status of the wave in terms of time. It describes the status of the wave only in terms of position. So that we call it as what is known as time-independent Schrodinger wave equation. So I will repeat. Time-dependent Schrodinger wave equation takes care of both the position and time of the time interval changes of the de Broglie wave, whereas time-independent Schrodinger wave equation takes care of the changes in terms of only the position of the de Broglie wave. Right? Then the question is, Why we are going for only time independent? Why can't time dependent also? The answer is that in real-time applications, most of the applications can be solved by taking the time independent Schrodinger wave equation. Why? Because I told the time dependent Schrodinger equation takes care of both the position and time changes, and that equation involves the imaginary term. The time independent equation involves the imaginary term. So what is the meaning of imaginary term? The wave function is involving a imaginary term. When you say it is involving an imaginary term, you cannot represent any system. You cannot represent any system by using the imaginary term. It becomes meaningless. It becomes meaningless because you cannot say some system is having an imaginary term, or the status of the system is not known, or you can say what is the meaning of imaginary? Means it is having a negative value. Means what? We cannot describe the system completely by taking a negative term or an imaginary term. Therefore, we always go for, or most of the real-time solutions are going to be solved by using the time independent Schrodinger equation, which does not involve the imaginary term. So therefore, we always, most of the times, we go for time independent Schrodinger equation rather than the time dependent Schrodinger equation. So this is about the time independent Schrodinger equation. Now let me remind all these things once. So what is time independent Schrodinger equation? It is the mathematical expression of the de Broglie wave. Just like y equals to a sin omega t, y equals to a cos omega t. They are, what are they? They are the mathematical expressions for the sine wave, mathematical expression for the cos wave. In the same way, we have the mathematical representation of the de Broglie wave. That is the wave associated with a moving particle. So that mathematical expression is nothing but the Schrodinger wave equation. The Schrodinger wave equation. So if you call it as a time independent Schrodinger wave equation, it is the mathematical representation of the de Broglie wave, which takes care of only the changes in terms of position. If you say it is a time dependent Schrodinger wave equation, it is the mathematical representation of the de Broglie wave, which takes care of the status of the wave both in terms of position and time. Right? So now what is our job? Our job is now to derive this. How we get this equation? That is d square psi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by s square into e minus b psi equals to 0. What is psi? Psi is the wave function. What is x? X gives you the status of the wave in the x direction. What is the m? M is the mass of the moving particle. H is the Planck's constant. What is the E? E is the total energy. What is the V? V is the potential energy of the particle. What is psi? Again the wave function. So now let's try to derive. Let's try to derive the time independent Schrodinger wave equation in one dimension and the time independent Schrodinger wave equation in 3 dimensions. So let's go for the derivation of this time independent Schrodinger wave equation, right?